Okay, is this thing on? Alright, well, welcome everybody to a new segment I'm actually starting here on Twitch. This is not going to be very long, it's going to be much like my previous segment, it's only going to be a short half hour. But I've called this, as you've noticed in the title here, Calidan Shipyards Research and Development. And primarily what this stream is going to be about is drop by and just watch me mess around with various ideas, ship designs, base designs, try new things, expanding on other developments and stuff like that. It's basically just to look over my shoulder at the various things that I actually mess around with. Now, what we have laid out here in front of us, aside from the pyramid, let me just move past that, is Calidan Shipyards. This is a world I put together specifically to store all the different types of creations and different things as I've, sort of almost like a parking lot, if for want of a better term. So that I had, rather than having them listed in blueprints, I've got them listed in a world where I can actually physically see them rather than just a little icon and a list of blueprints. So I thought just to kick this segment off, that I'd actually just do basically a quick fly through and just highlight the various things that we've got here so far. Now, right up this far end up here, this strange little beast of a craft here. This, believe it or not, is the very first ship that I built in a survival game that had a jump drive. So it's kept here now for posterity's sake, in essence. Note the timer blocks underneath the floor, underneath the front deck there. Oh, well, I've got the gravity engine, gravity generator turned off. Let's just turn you back on. Excellent. The timers down there are actually used to work the airlock, believe it or not. If we come in here, what have we got? Pressurize. It closes the door. Pressurizes the room. Sound blocks, believe it or not, from the day basically after I actually put them in, they stop working. They actually don't generate the sounds they're supposed to, which is just a standard alert sound. But if you listen closely, you notice there is no alert sound. So it's a bit of a pain. And our green light up here comes on to tell us that we are pressurized. Why on earth did it turn that off? Can't remember why it turned. That's because it uses this one to pressurize. That's the vacuum vent that actually vents into an oxygen tank that's only half full. This is the active one. This is the active. So we can now take our helmet off, and we can work in here, and then we can depressurize it, I should say, which will turn that one on, turn that one off, evacuate all the air, turn off our green light, turn on our red light, and unlock our door. Oh, it even opens it. Look at that, I forgot all about that. And actually locks it open, if you notice. So that's actually all timer driven. It was my first experimentation in building a structured airlock, and it used timers to run the whole sequence, which it actually worked pretty well. Large reactor, jump drive stashed down under here. Yeah, it was like almost an add-on afterthought. But all in all, this was a very functional ship. I ended up having about 3 different small grid ships parked on top of it as it was jumping around. It was built in a system world, and I used this to explore all the planets. I actually put bases on all the planets and half a dozen or more asteroids actually, and it was all thanks to this little beastie here. As you can see, it even comes equipped with a medical bay, so if I ever died I could actually respawn straight back on the ship. But yes, that was actually all built up in a survival game. There was no creative endeavours involved in that one. So it's here as a reminder of the sorts of things you can do in a survival game. This one over here, I'd seen references to the solar sail floating around from the spawns, the auto spawn, the encounters. So it got me thinking, and I decided to make my own sort of solar sailor. This is only one version, though. There was a couple of different types. So I even built what looked like an old style clipper ship with solar panels for its sails, and they tacked. You could actually turn them and tack them against the sun and all sorts of stuff. I unfortunately don't have that listed here, but this was the first attempt at building a rather large one. And if you check the Steam Workshop, you'll find that I've actually got a much better one on there, and I'm actually just about to stick it in over here. I'm surprised I actually don't have it here. But solar sail, yes. And we'll split you just there like that. And it's actually on its side, isn't it? That's a little bit silly. Let me just fix you up first. Now this has got very rudimentary airlocks in comparison. There's simply a two-door arrangement. Just to stop the atmosphere from escaping too much. Better watch. This thing is very, very responsive. Have to be rather careful. And they're unlocked. Okay, that's good, that's good. And I just need to check what commands I've got on this. Planet side, solar sail, all rotors, that's the one we want, I think. Yeah. 7. If you notice, here we go. Their solar panels are starting to collapse. They'll fold themselves up, pack themselves up nice and tight against the actual body of the ship, or the main drive portion of the ship. They do run reasonably slow. This is quite a neat construction in that all the solar panels are actually small grid panels. I actually put in a large rotor, large grid rotor for its power, and then I swapped the head out for a small rotor head, so I could actually build all the panels up using small panels and smaller grid. It was an attempt for lightweight, and it seems to work. Of course, the additional rotors on the actual panels themselves, on the fold elbows, they're all small grid rotors on a small grid, of course. It's actually just the main rotor and that attaches to the main solar sail that actually is the large one. But yeah, I was pleased enough with this to put it up on the workshop, so you feel free to check the workshop and subscribe to it and have a look at it. But if you do, don't try flying with the solar panels extended. They tend to wobble, flop and flip all over the place. Haven't seen them break yet, but I have seen them basically fold over on themselves because of the thrust generated. And as you can see, it folds up really quite nicely when it's... Let's just jump out of here so we can have a look at it properly. When it's fully... I didn't actually lock them. You can actually lock the panels down. If you... We'll just come over here and quickly have a look. There are actually landing gears, as you can see, landing gears on all the components. And you can actually lock them all together. It will actually all lock up intact. This ship can actually take on a planet. It can go into planetary atmosphere and land, and come back into orbit as well. So that's the latest iteration of a solar sail ship. There's no actual reactors in that, by the way. It's all solar panels and batteries. I've got no reactors whatsoever in this whole ship. But yeah, this is its progenitor. This is the very first attempt at a solar sail ship. Again, no reactors. There is only solar panels and batteries in this. And Yeah, it turned out okay. It's never actually been utilised in a game, however, it's here just for posterity. This one over here, hard to describe this ship. This is purely experimental. Purely experimental. It works really well, actually. It's just a giant cube. It flies really well. It's got a huge amount of, well, quite a lot of assemblers and refineries and stuff like that. Just, yeah, one of those experimental pieces. All the thrusters are actually inside the outer shell. The main glass outer shell. All the thrusters are against the inner shell. So yeah, very interesting little design on that one. Ooh, nice glare. This over here was, well, initially it was going to be like a battleship. You notice there's no weapons on it. Sort of got part way through and went, you know, I don't think so. Yeah. But I like the overall design of the ship, so I decided to keep it. It's not bad. Again, pretty functional. All of these were actually spawned from the fact that my very first attempt at building a large grid ship was on a planet. And was actually an abysmal failure. I built the ship up. Oh, it was a fantastic looking ship. It looked really nice. But the very first moment that I disengaged its landing gear to try and take it into space, it literally collapsed on the ground. It was an abysmal failure. So I started Calidan Shipyards to be able to figure out why. Why did it fail? What did I do wrong? What did I not understand about large ship grids and stuff like that? And as a result of which I played around with a lot of different designs, different styles, seeing what I can do. And if we go and have a look at this one, yeah, most of the gravity generators are actually turned off because the docks themselves that they're connected to, or close proximity to have gravity generators of their own, as you can see. Let's have a look. How heavy is this beast? This beast is 145,000 kilograms. So, if you look at 1,000 kilograms to the ton, so we're looking at 1,145 ton. Or 1.14 million kilograms, whichever way you want to look at it. Pretty hefty. Yep, it's manoeuvrable. It moves around. We can fly it. It actually works. This one, of course, will not ever go onto a planet. It doesn't have the thrusters for it, for starters. They're only ions. Yeah, walking's too slow at the moment. This one also comes jump capable. Jump drive is tucked up over behind there. In fact, I believe there's more than one of them. If I remember correctly, I think there's probably a couple. Let me just see if I can see. One at the top. Let's just scoot over the back here. Oh no, maybe just the one. Which wouldn't get us very far. We've got assemblers, we've got refineries, they're all upgraded. All in all, not a bad design, but again, not one that I actually have bothered utilising at this point in time. Now, what else we got? Well, the pyramid up there, that's off the workshop. Oh, sorry, I say off the workshop. It's been published to the workshop, I should say. Ah, yes, this beastie over the back here. This thing, if you're familiar with space engineers, you probably have caught sight of them straight away. This is a modular vessel. It's designed to be plug and play. Each component has got its own thrusters, small thrusters, but its own set of thrusters It's got its own gyroscope, it's got a remote control unit, it's got its own antenna. Each component can be remotely controlled. All of them are actually designed to plug together in any configuration you like. I've tried to make them all sort of standard connectors. Come on. Like these connectors here, I've made them all on the same side, so no matter which way you plug the ships together, they should actually connect up, and then you lock them in place. What else we got? Well, that's pretty much it. But yeah, it's just designed to be a multi-configurable ship, so you can plug together in different arrangements and give you a total ship. Wow, you are awfully close there. It was not that close when we hopped in here. What the hell happened there? Oh, actually, no, it's the red one that moved. Okay, how interesting. The red one should not have moved, but it did. Considering the thrusters are turned off on the red one. Oh, come on. Oh, anyway, it apparently moved. So yeah, this was definitely a research and development thing. This was not built with any practical purpose in mind other than to see if I could build a ship that was multi-configurable, like a modular or component-based ship, and to see how well that would work. What do we need to do? I need to do this, I think. That didn't help much. Just trying to fix our speed while we seem to be walking slow. Now, no, this way. Yeah, this is airtight. Each of these modules is airtight and will work accordingly. Yeah, I wonder why that ship moved. Anyway, neither here nor there. Okay, back over this other side here, we've got this huge beast here. This huge beast is attached to a very crude docking system I built. This docking system uses landing gear, piston, and a couple of sensors. For example, I won't actually engage it now. If I was to engage the thrusters, you just jump off the edge there. It pushes the ship away, and then you can disengage it. This one doesn't actually. No, this one doesn't have the sensors. Normally I have sensors, one on either side, to detect where the ship is in close proximity, so that when the ship is coming into dock, because this is all fully extended, as the ship gets closer to it, when it gets to within auto docking range, the sensor will sense that, it will trigger the lock, and then it will actually drag the ship in and pull it into the gangplank, the walk platform here. You can then walk across, from your platform over onto your ship. It works reasonably well. This is making use of an airlock script. Not my script. This is put together by Master, I think, if I remember correctly. But I've tied it to a sensor inside the airlock, so as soon as you walk in the airlock, it automatically triggers the cycle. So if you haven't to actually press any buttons or any jazz like that. Rather large ship, this one. This is a... I'm just going to get ourselves up. There we go. This is a rather large vessel, designed for large-scale mining and refining operations. Not much more I can say about it other than that, because that's exactly what it's for. I think I'm just going to turn this on because it's a bit of a pain. There we go. This is the first time I actually built pretty much a full glass cockpit. And yes, it is atmospheric, as you can see. We've got high oxygen in here. But it gives us unprecedented visibility. And very pleased with the way that turned out, to be perfectly honest. It can be a bit of a pain to get out of sometimes. Sometimes it tends to want to slot me down to the side here. But hey, that's now never mind. We can work around that. This ship is also flyable. I don't actually utilise it, or I haven't actually utilised it as a flying refinery as it's built as, but I have used it in several scenarios as a wreck. Basically, it's crashed onto a planet and you're the only survivor, typical sort of scenario, and you can then basically break the ship down and its resources and use it to build up a base. It works quite well in that particular scenario, to be perfectly honest. There's a few resources on the ship itself initially, and yes, also medical bay over here, another gravity generator because it is actually needed. See, we're actually not inside a gravity zone here, so that's how big the ship is. It's over the field length of a single gravity generator. So jump capable, as you can see, and we want to hop off the ship this way, I think. Yep, suck all the air out. There we go. And I picked the wrong side, look at that. But it does bring us out onto... This is actually a little bit out of place in this particular shipyards. This primarily is a civilian-based vessels, non-offensive vessels, with the exception of those two beasties, which are prototypes 1 and 2. And if we can get the glare of the sun to get out of the road, we'll have to scoot over the other side actually. With the exception of those two, which is prototypes 1 and 2, and this beast, which is final prototype. And it still is just a prototype, you can probably tell by the absolute framework of it. And if you've played around with Space Engineers, you might kind of recognise what we're looking at here. For those who haven't played around with it much, we are looking at gravity accelerators. 2 of them. Dual barrel. This is a dual barrel gravity accelerator cannon, or railgun, utilising gravity drives, gravity generators I should say, as a means of propelling a projectile. Yes, this builds projectiles and then fires them down through there. And in fact it does it with 2 of them simultaneously. And that's the other side there. And if we come up over here, we'll find there's a cockpit, well, a flight seat. Down in the middle here, it's set dead center. And I mean, it is dead center, it's dead in line with the absolute symmetry center of the ship, which is there. And if we have a look over directly on the other side of that, we have a camera. And that is allowing us to target on the dead center of the ship. Flying dual barrel gravity gun. And yep, through the camera we can even zoom in, and I can tell you from experience that I have actually utilised this. I have actually come on, get out, thank you. I have utilised this in a game world actually as a defensive weapon. And what I mean by that is I was able to take out a cargo carrier and a mine layer from 9 kilometers away with a single hit. It's dual projectiles. Projectiles are a warhead mixed with a battery. They're utilising the minimal charge that the battery comes with, although warheads do have their own inbuilt charge, so it doesn't need it. But the artificial mass that is utilised to accelerate the whole thing does need a power source to be able to, well, generate an artificial mass. So it utilises the little bit of charge that comes in a default battery, a default welded up battery, to power an artificial mass which hurls a warhead. Well, I think in this case I even have it dual warheaded. I think they're dual warhead projectiles, so yeah, they're quite devastating. So yeah, it is the odd one out. It's just, if you want to think of it that way, and this is why it's still in this particular civilian-based shipyards. It's a civilian research project that the military usurp later. Yes, I have actually got a huge big warship that's got the same concept as its main central gun. Actually, it runs down pretty much the full length of the ship through the centre, and it is monstrously devastating. It's quite impressive. Only takes like a second or something rather to weld up and fire, so it's pretty quick. So that's what those are all about. Yeah, they're just some atmospheric drones. Pointless, really. Very fun little pieces of gizmo gadgetry. Can't take credit for the whole concept. I did, however, add some stabilising thrusters to them. There's a central main thruster, but there is some actually little stabilisers down here that make it much more flight capable in planet, fully remote controlled, and work quite nice. Where are we? Then we've got our array of mining vessels that's up there. This is the very first ship I built that utilised the artificial mass and gravity generators as a propulsion system, as a gravity drive. And yes, this gravity drive is detachable. It detaches through the connector there and can be docked back up. It's a 5 gravity generator arrangement, 4 of which are for forward thrust. 1 is actually set as a reverse thrust. Works quite well actually. The other thrusters are literally for manoeuvring. I'll actually turn dampeners off, inertial dampeners off, when engaging the gravity drive. But yeah, it works quite nice. This whole next array on both left and right of our dock are mining ships, as you can probably tell by the excessive numbers of drills on them. These 2 large drills here are first and second iteration of a mobile refining drill. It actually drills and refines, and what you're left with is refined product that you can then dump to a base, so it's already in ingot form, as opposed to having to dump ores and having a base actually refine it for you. This is this one here. How do we explain this? This is an autonomous miner, large grid, utilising timers and sensors and gyroscopes. This thing can mine its way through an asteroid, pop out the other side, and if it runs out of any asteroid that's sensed in its sensors, will actually turn towards the last one sensed, and try and target itself or arrow itself back in on the asteroid and continue mining. Very crude. Like I said, it just uses timer blocks and sensors and gyroscopes to force the turns and stuff like that. Works sort of okay actually, but in a very crude sense. These over here are small grid versions of it. found actually the small grid versions seem to work a little bit better, probably because they're not as cumbersome to maneuver. Excuse me. However, it did put me onto a whole string of, as you can see, a whole string of development in drone mining or autonomous miners. As you can see, this one's even got its cockpit right at the back. Truckload of ejectors, side connectors. Lots of timers. Is this one a timer based one? No, this is actually just a miner, I think, if I remember correctly. Come here. Small mining drone. Yes, it's a small mining drone. Only 2 timer blocks. What have we got? Okay, yes, this is to experiment with somebody else's autonomous mining script. Yeah. No. Didn't really work all that well. I wasn't too happy with it. So, to that end, we jump over here. And is this it? No, this one is not mine. That one's not mine. That one is. It prompted me to write my own mining system. Yeah, it's 2 iterations of it. This utilises a custom built script, which you can't see at this point because remote access. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, this scans, finds what angle the asteroid is at, will then turn the ship to the asteroid. It's very intuitive in that respect. It actually tracks the asteroid. It makes use of ray tracing from the from the camera. I hate the way that does that. That camera there, it just fires that array, so everything in that 180 degree arc in front can be detected. So the asteroid can be over here in relation to the ship, and as it does its scan, it will detect it. It will then, the head there will actually then lock onto the nearest point, the closest point of the asteroid, and then the whole ship will actually turn to face it, so that in the end it's looking dead forward at it. Once that happens, once it gets to within, I think it's within 5 or 10 degree, so the whole ship turns to within a 5 or 10 degree arc of the actual position of the asteroid's nearest point. It will then slowly move forward to the asteroid until it gets to within 15 meters, if I remember correctly, in which case it will then fire up the drills and change over into a mining phase, which allows it to plough through the asteroid. When it comes out the other side, of course, the scan head here sees no asteroid ahead of it and goes back into scan mode and will start searching. And hopefully it will find an asteroid within 180 degree sweep. Sometimes it won't, depends on how smooth or how straight it comes out of the asteroid, but it then does a nice organic arc, if you will, back towards the asteroid, and it's almost like a worm. It keeps coming through and swooping around back, forwards, through and through. It doesn't get jammed. It will actually up the thrust override as its weight increases. It will also periodically do a little wiggle, which stops it from getting jammed against anything. It's a little roll wiggle, just rolls left and right, just a couple of times, just like that basically, and that helps keep it free moving inside the asteroid as it's mining through. Yeah, this is a second iteration. It's still a work in progress. I haven't got it anywhere near finished. Okay. This one over here is again, it's another work dealing like the ship over there with a modular type arrangement. This is inspired by the Borg cube. I was trying to build a system where you could stack cubes together into any form of arrangement, and think of it like, well, like this, but each one of these is a fully intact little subship in itself. And so instead of stacking them like this, you can have, refineries, assemblers, power plant, and they're all stacked together through this arrangement. Again, they're individually powered. They've got their own remote units. They can be remotely controlled independently. They dock together well so that the conveyor system will interlock. This has just got a basic structural framework inside it to highlight it. And yeah, I had to put the gravity generator upside down and then invert it, but it works. Each of them has this little cockpit up here. And yes, it's manoeuvrable. Well, it can move, I should say. It's probably the best way of explaining it. Again, still just another prototype, work in progress sort of concept. Airtight connector blocks or arrangements. And this is pretty much the large ships, the large grids, and some of the smaller mining ships. That big white beast over there is a monstrosity in itself. I don't know how else to explain that other than it's a monstrosity. It flies, it can land on a planet, it can hover in an atmosphere. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. Oh, sorry about that, just bumped the microphone. Thank you. Oh, that's right. I'm on the wrong side. I forgot. I have to just go around that side. I have not actually got the sensors inside the airlocks to actually trigger the cycle. But if we come into this one, which is already open, as you notice, and we go to our there. Come on, airlock. Program, airlock control. Port airlock toggle, it's already set for this side. Alright, there's our cockpit up there. It's a big multi-cockpit, as you can see. There's 3 flight seats up here in the end. Again, visibility is a big thing for me. I like lots of visibility on my ships. So that seems to work quite nicely. Rather flat platform, designed to as almost like a carrier. Okay, some windows, huge amounts of batteries, cargo. A lot of gyroscopes. Again, more windows, forward facing. It's just a very different design ship. Yeah, you can go up even higher yet. Lots of refineries, lots of cargo. It's the overall view of the ship. What have we got? We've got 8 refineries, 8 arc furnaces and 9 assemblers. And we've got six reactors, big ones. On top of all of that, I believe we've even got a jump drive. At least one. No, 2. Yeah, this was before I realised that I needed way more than 2 jump drives to get any sort of distance with this massive size vessel. No, that's turned off, I won't go out there. For example, the pyramid ship that you saw floating outside there, that's on the workshop, I think it's got 8 or 9 jump drives in it, and that's just to get a couple of thousand kilometres. It gets a couple of thousand kilometres, but not that. And we want to lock that and that. Oh, we didn't trigger, did it? I hate that. Okay, that's got it. No, this is actually just a development world that I use to store a lot of experiments, creations, designs. Some of these ships were designed in a survival world. Namely, way up over there's a couple that were designed and built in a survival world. But yeah, this is just a platform, a world that I use just to store the different creations so that I can look at them, be inspired by various designs that have worked, various designs that have not worked, and stuff like that. A lot of small ships. I think we all have a huge plethora of things that we've designed at some stage, but I just decided to put them all together in a single location so I can either continue working or take snippets from one to another and things like that. Now, I haven't mentioned about the station there. That is a very early version of the station. I've actually taken that and I've actually got a completely new world that's that whole station is actually broken down into a complete modular system. In fact, let's just have a look at it. I am actually planning on sticking this on the workshop once I actually get the modules fully finished. I've just got to remember which one it is. No, station module construction, there we go. Yeah, I split each of the floors or levels off into different modules that can be pasted in from your blueprints in various configurations. Large sizes, small sizes, squat little balls, big long pillars like that one. So far it works quite well. It's got various different types of arrangements that can be used. Bloody sun glare is annoying sometimes. But yes, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 basic floor arrangements. These are connectors, single dot connected, L-shaped, T-shaped, all 4, so you can stack them side by side. That over there is a top cap. This is another form of a top cap. And then you've got power plants, which are those, the tails down the bottom there is what I call them. But yeah, there's command and control, there's refineries, there's assemblers, there's habitat. This one here is habitat. It's actually a dual structure, this one. You got the main upper area, which is your habitat. You got this lower section, which is all oxygen generation and stuff like that. Yeah, go up further, and then, whoop, too far. And yeah, we've got medical, we've got a whole stack of cryopods. Each of them got their own intact generator, gravity generator unit, stuff like that. So I'm still just finalising it. This is the top end cap. It's basically a landing pad platform that ties into all of the elevator shafts down the sides. But yeah, they all paste together. All the 5-way ports that I've got in the central point there match across all, as you can see, so it all conveyors up together. And yeah, you're not just limited to a single column or a single tower. These are interconnectors that let you actually stack 2 or 3 side by side, or different arrangements, so you can get a real sprawling sort of station base thing happening. So far I'm quite happy with it actually. They're all the same basic design. These connectors, they just allow it to connect up in various different configurations. All of them got their own intact oxygen units, own batteries, so you stick an end cap, that top cap over there on the top of this, and this whole thing here will pressure up, all fully airtight. So it's getting there, it's nearly ready actually, nearly finished. I'm quite happy with the way it works. So keep it on the workshop, it'll probably end up in the workshop pretty soon. But it's just one of the many things that I mess around with designing. And oh yeah, that's right, this is just a hangar bay with multiple connectors, 4 sides. I think we've even got labels on the outside, don't we? Yep, hangar 1, look at that. Each hangar door has actually got all 4 buttons. Number 1 is always the door that you're at, and then the others are door 1, 2, 3, and this is door 4. Yeah, so it's designed to allow small ships to fly in, dock up. You can extend it and expand on it. Just trying to make it really generic, but multifunctional. Anyway, I'm going to stop this stream at this point in time. I will highlight other things that I've been working on, maybe even run the stream at the same time tomorrow, whilst I'm working on a new design. I'm working on a new design ship at the moment. Whether it's going to work or not is yet to be seen. So far I'm quite happy with the design of it. Although I have to admit, I wish that we had flight control over thrusters on thrusters that are connected through rotors or pistons, but that's neither here nor there. It's just a little bit of a wish, that one. But anyway, thanks for dropping by. I'm glad you liked the modular station. Yeah, by all means, feel free to check out my workshop page. I do plan on putting this world up there at some stage, so you can play around with the different modules and potentially you'll find it useful enough to put some stations in a game or something like that. But yeah, thanks for dropping by. Happy engineering, and hopefully we'll talk to you again.